Fine, thank you, Mark.
Right. Okay, I'm waiting for our Chief Judge. Hi, Maurice. Waiting for our Chief Judge, Melissa, to join us. There she is. Hi, Melissa. Okay. Tonight we've got a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm going to start right away at 8:15, which is 1 minute from now. And I'm going to be covering everything from the club to the area to the division to the district contest. All the contests are similar, so you're going to get a lot of the same information. However, the one that's mostly different is the club and the district one. So I wanted you to have those two back to back. All right. I don't know if everybody's on, but let's get started. My name is Circe Denyer, and I'm the Program Quality Director for District 52. And as Program Quality Director, I am actually overseeing the contests for the district, along with Melissa Roughton, who is our District Chief Judge. Hi, Melissa. So tonight, I am conducting this training, and for future, Melissa will be doing trainings like it for other groups. So for now, it's my turn. The first thing I wanted to talk about is more of an overall flow in a club contest, how it looks, what you need to do, and what you can do for every single club. In a club, the first thing that's different is that every audience member is a judge, all of them. They're judges for your contestants. However, if you don't have enough contestants to hold a contest, a club can decide to put a contestant forward without holding a contest. They can just nominate a member to be the representative for that club. Now, how is this beneficial to the contestant? If a contestant gives a speech in a contest in a club and they go overtime or undertime, that contestant is legally unqualified to go on to an area contest. Now, if you just have the contestant give a speech as part of the regular club, it does not count against them. It doesn't mean that if they go overtime or undertime that they would be, ineligible. However, they would be actually, according to the rule book, they would be ineligible to continue to the area contest because they've already been a participant in a contest, even if they're by themselves. So it's important that you understand that for your members. If you have more than one person who's interested in competing, you must hold a contest. You can't just pick one or the other. You must hold a contest. So depending on how many members you have interested in each of the contests, you need to decide as a club officer or club member, you need to decide whether or not you are going to hold the contests separately, because we have two. We have the international and humor. You're going to do two contests, one on each meeting, or you're going to do it all in one meeting. Now, in one of the clubs I belong to, we only meet for an hour. And when you only meet for an hour, it's very tight to get two contests in there. We have done it. We're trying it this month to see if we can make it. But a lot depends on how many contestants you have for each contest. So you have to be aware of your club time. If you meet more than once in a month, you can have one contest on one meeting and one contest on another. So that's one of the ways of doing it. Now, one of the ways that a contest in a club is exactly the same as it is at every other level is that every contest uses the official contest ballot. That means you need to get a hold of the ballot from Toastmasters.org, and you need to print enough of them for your judges in your club. The judges need to be told how to use this ballot. So you might want to check out Melissa's video that she did on bias, because she did cover the ballot. It's up on YouTube. And I believe there's also a link from District 52 on our contest page. So that tells you a little bit about how to mark the ballot. There is a complete international ballot training on YouTube under District 52 Toastmasters YouTube channel. And after this webinar, I will be posting those links with this recording so that you can get to those things. But it's important that the judges, even at a club level, use the ballot to judge your contestants. Now, you might say, well, why? It's just a club. Well, at every other level, each of those contestants that goes forward is going to be judged according to the ballot. If you're not judging them at the club level according to the ballot, you're doing them a disservice. They're not getting the full benefit of a contest, because the ballot is not an evaluation. It's a judge. It's judging that speech against a set of criteria that Toastmasters International uses at every single level: area, then division, then district, and then World Championship of Public Speaking, including the video, the video contest that happens between district and the World Champion of Public Speaking. That's the, boy, it just keeps going right out of my mind. It is the semifinal. There we go. I knew it started with an S. All I had to do is concentrate. So you want to use the ballots in the club. On the back side of the ballot, or on page 2 if you print it on 2 pages, it talks about each category of the ballot and what is included in the voting. You will notice in both humorous and in international, content is the heaviest weighted ballot item. Now, that means that a judge needs to look at the content and that content's delivery for the contest. If the content is not interesting, if it's not very unique, if it's not original, that contestant should be marked down on the ballot. And we'll talk about that in just a bit when we get to the eligibility part. In a contest, there's no real hard rule about how many judges you can have. And that's because they understand that if you have a club of 12 people and you have 6 people competing, you only have 6 people left, and that's if everybody shows up. So I recommend with most clubs that you invite other neighboring clubs to come judge your contest, and you tell them we'll come judge yours. And that way everybody has some judges that are unique and not familiar with their contestants, and you'll get a better judging pool. It also helps the other club. It brings clubs together. So I suggest that, because not only do you need judges, but you need 2 ballot counters and at least 1 timer. The speech rulebook says 2 timers, but they also will allow only 1 timer in the club. They don't monitor the club contests like they do the area contests and the division contests, but you should have as many judges as you can get, 2 ballot counters, and I'll explain that in a minute, and at least 1 timer. Your timer does nothing more than time the speech from the moment that the person who's at the front of the room makes a sound or touches an object that's part of their props. That is the beginning of their timing. So it is important, because at the area level, if you have a speaker that has a prop, there is a sergeant at arms in the room, and that sergeant at arms is responsible for setting up the props for that speaker. because if that speaker moves their prop around, that could take a minute to a minute and a half off their speech time. And it is counted. It is counted if they touch their props. So you have to be careful with that. They should get used to all of these things at the club level so that when they move on to area, they're not thrown off. I have seen many times as a chief judge, a contestant completely thrown off because it's not the same as the club and they don't know what to do and they don't understand the rules because they haven't been shown those at the club level. So it's really you're helping your speakers when you do it exactly as it's done at the next level. There is supposed to be a speaker brief that is done before the contest. Now, at the club level, I usually do my speaker brief and my judges briefing a couple of days to a week before the contest is happening. Now, the reason for that is to save time. There are certain things every speaker needs to know during the briefing. There's certain things that the judges need to know during the briefing. And you can get the briefing for the judges from the YouTube video. They just have them watch it, make sure they understand it, and check back in with you with questions. There's only a few things that you need to make sure the judges understand when they are in the club contest, and that is how to mark their ballot, that they have as much time as they need to tally the ballot, and that nobody's rushing them, but that their votes per contestant should not be changed at the end of the voting process, that they should use the points that they established for each contestant at each level. So if you have 3 contestants and a judge is marking points for each category on the ballot and then goes back and just picks somebody, they're not using the ballot the way it should be. So that should be explained to your judges. In the contest at a club level, you really do need a chief judge. Now that's a separate person. It can, you can use the same person who is the tiebreaker if you want. That works too. But club level contests should have a chief judge. As a chief judge at a club level, I usually ask that person to go with the ballot counters and count the ballots, because the chief judge needs to report to the contest chair or the Toastmaster for your contest that day who came in third, who came in second, and who came in first, so that they're very clear when they announce that they announce it in the correct order and that the right person gets announced as the winner. And let's see, your timer sheet is never discussed with anybody else in the club at any time, during the contest or after. So you have to have somebody with pretty high integrity doing the club contest as timer, because if somebody is 1 second overtime, they are disqualified. But somebody might want to know from the timer just how long overtime they went. Nobody is able to get that information except the speaker who was disqualified. And then usually it's the chief judge that gets that call and tells that person privately. Let's talk a little bit about disqualifications at the club level. If a speaker goes under 30 seconds, so it would be a 5 to 7, under 4 minutes 30 seconds, so 4 minutes 29 seconds or less, they're disqualified. If they go 7 minutes 30 seconds with over 30 seconds, they are disqualified. So 7 minutes 31 seconds, they are disqualified. There is no wiggle room. People don't like that, but there's no wiggle room. If you are under, you are disqualified. If you're over, you're disqualified. And remember what I said about competing at the club level. The club level is just the first level to get to the area, and they have to qualify first. Secondly, and this is the most important thing, every speaker must sign, and I'm going to show you these forms in a little bit, must sign an eligibility and originality form. It's a form that certifies that they say their contest speech is original, substantially original, and is not copied from somebody else's, and that they are eligible to be a contestant. Now, what makes them eligible? Well, the International Speech Contest, they must have given 6 manual speeches from the Competent Communication Manual or more, or they must have given 3 levels of pathways. They must pass through 3 levels of pathways, which is the equivalent of 6 speeches, because there are 6 speeches in that. Excuse me, I take that back. It's 4 in level 1, and I think it might be level 2. I will check that. I will verify that. I believe it might be level 2. Level 2 is, okay, Marco says level 2 was last year, then it's level 2. Thank you, Marco. Okay, so level 2 in pathways, or 6 speeches in a competent communication manual, okay? If they have not given those speeches before your club contest, they are not eligible. They cannot give speech number 6 or be finishing level 3 at that club contest. That is not, they're not eligible. They're not eligible to go forward in the contest if they have not passed those criteria. And that's really, really hard on some clubs and some people. If you have a brand new club, you just started, you've only been a club, I believe it's 6 months, you can have anybody compete, no matter how many speeches they've done. So brand new clubs, if you join a brand new club that's under 6 months, you can actually enter the International Speech Contest without that eligibility requirement. And a lot of people do that. They actually get right in there and join. Okay. Judges must sign a code of ethics document. This tells you, as chief judge or your chief judge in your club, that that person who's judging your contest is going to be ethical and fair when they're judging. Now, I know that some of you were at the TLI and listened to Melissa's bias talk. I suggest you watch it. It is excellent. There is a lot of truth to us as judges having bias that we don't really understand that we have. It's really, really eye-opening, and you should check that out. Okay. At the area contest, the Toastmasters speech rulebook asks for 9 judges. Now, who are these judges? Where in the club you can have anybody. In the area, you can also have anybody. However, if you have anyone that's in your same area, you must make sure there is a representative from every single club as a judge. So let's say there's 4 clubs in the area and you have 9 judges. You must have 4 of those judges. If you have 1 from any club, you have to have 4 one from each club. That makes it fair across the board. So if you will look through the speech rulebook and you think about this one thing, you are going to be able to understand it. Is it fair to my contestant? Ask yourself that question and you'll be able to you'll be able to clarify anything from the speech rulebook. So all of the rules in the speech rulebook have to do with fairness, and that's one of them. So 9 judges, make sure that there's an even number of judges if you have them from the clubs. At the division level, it works the same way, except you are mixing judges possibly from areas where there's competition. So let's say you have 4 areas in one division, and those 4 areas each have a competitor. You need to make sure that you have a mix, at least one judge from each of all the areas. Okay, Stephen asked, what happens if you can't get 9 judges? You do your best. Try and get at least 5 plus a tiebreaker. We've done it in the past, but do your best to get as close to 9 as possible. At the division contest, we really should have 9 judges. And because this is the contest that moves to the district level. If you have 9 judges from all across the district outside of your division, you will probably run a very fair contest, because the contest will be judged by people who've not seen your contestants before, and they're not in clubs with those contestants, and you will get a fair and equitable contest. It is really important at this contest, at the International Speech Contest, that every contestant gets a fair chance of earning the right to win at the next level, because the next level from division is district, and that will be held at our spring conference on May 16th. If we have fairly judged contestants, we will have a pretty fairly judged district contest. It will be fair for everyone, and we will be able to pick a really good winner to go on to the World Championship of Public Speaking. The thing that I find over every year is finding enough judges. Now, the area directors are good sources for finding judges. So are the trio, the 3 of us. Melissa's collecting a list of judges, interest list for judges. If you have any people in your club who have given 6 speeches but are not competing, they're eligible to be a judge. That's the other part. The judge who is judging an international speech must have given 6 speeches as well, or level 2. So this is because you can't, it's very difficult for someone who's never delivered speeches to judge someone who is giving a speech at this level. And this is a very important contest. Okay. What is the minimum number of judges again? Well, there is no minimum. Toastmasters International wants us to have 9. It's all through the rule book, 9 judges. It's high, I know that, but do what you can to reach out to other clubs, other areas, other area directors, the trio, Melissa, myself, any of us. Will, the district director, the program quality director, and the club growth director, one of us will be at your contest from area upward. We can't guarantee we'll be at your club contest, but I do know that for clubs that are in Santa Clarita, since I live in Santa Clarita, I can come to some of the club contests if it doesn't conflict with something else. I know that Agnes is in the Valley and John is in the West Valley. So there are contests that we could come to if you ask us ahead of time. Okay. I appreciate the chatting for the questions. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything in this club flow. Oh, when the contest is done and all the contestants have finished and the ballots are being counted, that's the time that the contest chair or the Toastmaster can ask the contestants questions like, how long have you been in Toastmasters? Or what made you join this contest? Anything simple, no long answers, just something easy to answer at that time. Because if you have several contestants, you want to give everybody a chance to answer. It's also the time when the contest chair or Toastmaster hands out the participant certificates, and you should do that for even at the club level. And it's the time that gives the audience a little bit of break times, to get up, go to the bathroom, and wait for the announcement of the winner. Here's the big, big deal in having 2 contests in the same day, 2 area contests, 2 division contests. You must begin and then complete each contest before you move on to the next. I'll give you an example. Area 1. has 2 contestants in international and 2 contestants in humor, and they're both competing. Area 2 is on the same day immediately following. They're doing their contest together. The 2 area directors have decided to do their contest together. Area 2 has 3 in the international and 3 in humor. You may not at any time put the 3 from Area 2 and the 2 from Area 1 in the same contest and vote. You can't even run them back to back. You can't have the 2 Area 1 people do their contest, vote, and then do the 3 Area 2 people. You can't do that. You must complete each area contest completely before you begin the next one. So the way it works is international speech might come first. It doesn't matter whether you do humor first or international first. You do all the speakers, all the voting, tally the votes, and announce the winner. That completes that one. Then you do your humorous contests, and the same way, all the contestants, all the voting, winners announced, and that one's done. The reason this is a controversy is because people believe that if a person is competing in both contests, international and humor, that they have a better chance of winning if they win or lose in the contest that came before them. Again, think about the bias that might be. Melissa, I can't remember what that one is called, recency or, hang on one second, let me unmute you. Which one?
Recency bias.
Recency
so
bias.
Recency bias was that you're more likely to win if you are a later speaker. But this would, I don't believe that would really fit into one of the ones I used at the speech on last week.
Okay. Well, people don't like it, and they don't like having their humorous winner then compete in international because they think they have an edge. And if you have bad judges or judges that aren't aware of their own bias, that may be true. But it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. You must run the contest from beginning to end. That's a rule in the contest rule book that I, as chief judge, actually stopped a contest and made them do it right because it was not being done according to the rule book. I don't want to be hard-nosed about it, but you should do it that way because that's the way it's done all the way through. And every time you do it the same way it's done all the way through, the better your contestants have at going forward. Okay? So I know that might be a little troubling for some, but it's the way it is. Okay? All right. Once the contest is over and the judges have made their choices and the chief judge has counted the ballots and brought them into the room, the chief judge gives them to the Toastmaster or the contest chair. That person is going to get a form called a results form. Please warn your contest chair or your Toastmaster, whoever's announcing, that the form reads third, then second, then first, top down. It is confusing because most of us read left to right and top down, and we think the first place is the top. But if you announce, and this is terrible, but if you announce the winner in the wrong order and nobody challenges it, and there are 2 people in the room that can, the third place winner could make it to first place by mistake. Now, this is usually not at the club level, but mostly at the area level and division level. So the results form says third, then second, then first. It does that so we can read it in order, okay? But third place is actually listed as the first line item. So make sure you look that over. Okay. The winners are announced. The trophies are at area and division and district. District 52 provides your first place trophy. However, each contest kit that the area, whoever's putting on the area contest or the club contest, there are downloadable certificates that you can printout for your contestants, first, second, and third. And they're different colors. So you should do that for at least, if you don't do it for your club, you should do it for your area and then your division. Okay. You can add a theme to your contest. That's not a rule in the rule book, but you can. It's something that you can add if you want to make it more interesting. At the end of the contest, if there's a break between, let's say you have two areas on the same day, if there's a break between when one area is getting set up after one finishes, the presiding officer, which should be one of the district officers, either myself or Agnes or John, will make district announcements or, you know, talk to the group. So you'll want to make room for that if you want us to talk to your group. Okay. All right. Let's talk about what you have available to you as far as materials. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me see if I know how to do this. Not that, not that. Okay. Hold on one sec. Okay, did everybody download the speech rulebook? I hope you did. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let's go here. Okay, the speech contest rulebook that you downloaded should look like this. It has the current World Champion of Public Speaking winner. There's one thing I want to show you in this rulebook that's in every single speech rulebook out there, and that is these fancy little black diamonds. This is where they've made a change this year. Notice how many are under speech contest policy. You want to pay special attention to those diamonds and what they mean and what policy, in this case, what policies have changed. Here's the eligibility page that talks about how a person becomes eligible to be in a club, in a contest. I did have several questions asking if a area director can compete, and the answer is no. No division director, no area director, no district officer can compete. Okay, and it talks about that down here. These are all the district officers who cannot compete. Okay, the next page has information about the flow. Once you get to the district level and we have a winner, that winner is entered into what's called a video, semifinal that's video judged. And that videotape has to be, there's rules, a page of rules, maybe even a page and a half of rules that govern this videotaping that we have to do at the spring conference. Okay, so pay attention to all these diamonds as you go through. Now, let's look at this section 4 for just a moment. Remember, I told you that the international speech must be original material. That goes for humorous too. You cannot repeat a stand-up comedian's show as a humorous speech. You'll be disqualified. It has to be at least 75% original, and that is a lot. Now, I remember I told you that there are a couple people who can protest. Well, one of the times that it comes up is when the contest chair accidentally reads the third place name instead of the first place, or reads the first place name as third place. There are two people who can contest it. One is any judge, chief judge, tie-breaking judge, any judge in the room. The second person is a speaker. Those are the only two people who can protest the announcement of the winner. It has to be done immediately. The contest comes to a pause, a halt. The chief judge goes out of the room with the person who has protested, straightens out whatever the protest is, and then comes back in and announces the winners. We have had probably 3 protests in the time that I was chief judge, and all of them were legitimate, but none of them were this 3rd, 2nd, or 1st place. But it is one of my fears that it'll happen. So keep in mind that. So judges and speakers, nobody else can contest a winner. Nobody. It doesn't matter who they are. They may know that that speech came right off the internet, but if no speaker and no judge knows that, it doesn't count. However, I can tell you this, that if the contestant has signed an eligibility and originality document, and we find out later that that speech was not theirs, they will be made ineligible after the fact, and they won't be able to go forward. So just so you know. Okay, some things take us a little longer to find out. Okay, under section 5, if you read this carefully, it actually is the flow of a general flow of a contest. Starting at the club, it talks about, oh, here we go, 5 voting judges and a tiebreaker at a club level. So there you go. Area contests, this is where it talks about, and this language is a little complex, there must be an equal number of voting judges from each club. So if you have 4 clubs and any one of those judges is from one of those clubs, you have to have 1 from each of the other. And this is a minimum, 5 judges. I don't know where I read 9. Must be in another section. Okay, so 5 voting judges. So Stephen, you have 5 to get instead of 9. Okay, 9 division contests, the same, equal number of voting judges from each area or division in the division, and a minimum of 7. So this is where it goes up. There must be 9 at the, nope, it's 7 at the district. Okay, so 7 and 7, division and district, and 5 at area and 5 at club. Okay? All right. Now, this doesn't count for us because we're not doing the quarterfinals. This is done on the video level, where the videotape is sent from the district to international, and then you have 9 voting judges plus 1 tie-breaking judge. So that's where I got my 9. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. All right. Now, we don't need this. This is interesting information right here about the World Champion of Public Speaking and the judging pool. You can actually be a judge if you have the qualifications. You can go to international and become a judge. It's kind of an interesting process, different than you'll find anywhere else. They really follow every single rule. And that talks about that there. This is important. Now, I read through a speech script, which you will all get a copy of from me. It's the script for your contest that your contest master will use. It is actually a written script. Your Toastmaster does not have to wing it. They just read through this script and it goes right through the contest, and it's very practical for everybody. In this script that I looked at, it said, now have all the judges please rise, and I went, what? So no, you don't want your judges known by your contestants or any of the audience. So the voting judges at all levels should remain anonymous when it's practical. It says must, but it also says when practical. So that's important. Okay. All righty. Okay. Let's see here. I don't know how to make that higher. I'm really talking loud. Let me try this. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next. See this where it says before the contest, contestants are briefed on the rules by the contest chair. There is a contestant briefing. You will get a copy of that. I will make sure it's on the website so you can just download it. That briefing is really easy to follow, and it makes your time go really fast. The briefing has like 4 different things you tell the contestants before the contest begins, and one of the things that it includes is picking the speaking order. This is another thing that comes up and gets changed from district to district, from division to division, and from trio to trio. But according to the rule book, there's no specific rule here that states how to draw for the contestant order. And this is where it becomes tricky. So I'm going to tell you exactly how I want District 52 to do it for your contest all the way through. Again, thinking about it being fair. Scenario is this: you have 5 contestants. You're doing an area contest. You have 5 contestants. All of them are there except one. You've gotten a text from that contestant. They're running late. They will be there before gavel. Their requirement is if the gavel goes down, they are disqualified from competing. However, if they walk in the door with paperwork in hand, they've got their eligibility form filled out and all the paperwork filled out before the gavel goes down, that contestant can compete. But where? You've already drawn the speaking order. Well, here's how that works. Always, always, always find a disinterested party to do the step-in for that contestant. They stand in and pick a card or a number or a straw or whatever you're using to pick the speaking order. If their straw means they're going last, that's what it is. If it means they're going first, that's what it is. Do not let anyone tell you that if a contestant is not there when you're drawing for speaker position, that they have to go first or they have to go last. It doesn't work that way, okay? That is an unfair, it's an unfair act, and we don't do that. Again, looking at the rules, thinking about everything being fair, that's how that works. And so here, all it says is contestants draw for their speaking position with the contest chair. That's all it says. Just make it fair by making sure everybody gets a fair play at where their position is. Okay? Now, see, it says here, if the contestant is absent, the alternate speaker, if present, is permitted to attend the briefing in place of the primary. It doesn't say anything about the drawing. And it does use the very strong language of is permitted as opposed of you'll find one. But I have found that every time it's not done with a person who steps in, there's a problem. Okay? All right. Let's see. If the primary contestant is not present when the person conducting the contest is introduced, that's when the gavel goes down, the primary contestant is disqualified and the alternate for that contestant is officially becomes a contestant. So who's your alternate? Well, at the club level, it's your second place person. The area level, it's the second place person in area. At division, it's the second place person at division. So the alternate is your second place, and if the second place isn't there, it's the third place person. So I would recommend that you have your contestants, first, second, and third, attend the contest just in case. We have had that happen. Okay? All right. Notice that if they arrive after the briefing, but before the person conducting the contest is introduced, primary contestant is permitted to compete, providing they report to the contest chair upon their arrival here and has all the required paperwork in good order before conducting the contest introduced to begin the contest. So that would be their eligibility documentation needs to be in hand. And they then waive the opportunity for the briefing. Okay, I'm going to pause here for just a second. Okay, I saw some questions. All right. Can we get by with one timer at area level? It's okay. I don't recommend it, but it is okay. You can usually find somebody else. Then, you know, it's easier to find a timer than it is somebody else. But I would recommend that you get 2 timers. Why? Well, one person holds the cards and the other person writes the time down. That way they're not doing 2 things. They're paying attention to their one job, and it makes this contest better. Okay, so no, the late person does not have to go first as long as there's somebody holding the card for them. Okay. Yes, thank you for the minimum number of judges. We found that out. Okay, let's go back to sharing the screen. Let's go here. I think it's here. Where is it? This one. Okay. Now, all of you have access to this rule book. Please, if you have a question about it, or somebody comes to you and says, by the way, so-and-so says this is the way it's done, please check in with Melissa or myself before you start doing it that way. Okay? Okay, we've covered that part. Okay, now the chief judge is going to brief the judges. You can do judges briefing over the phone. You can do judges briefing by having them watch the training. You can do judges briefing in any manner that really works for your contest, making sure the judges understand how to use the ballot, what they're going to be asked to do when the ballot is complete, which includes them signing it, and they must fill out both all 3, first, second, and third, if there are at least 3 contestants. First, second, and third. If they only vote for one person, that ballot is not counted, period. Not at all. They have to have at least the same number of contestants, 1, 2, and 3. If there are more contestants, they can have first, second, and third, and the other 2 not on there. But that ballot has to be filled out completely. Does that make sense? I hope I didn't stutter over that. Okay. Let's see. We are doing international. Okay. When they finish marking their ballots, yeah, they must tear off the bottom portion, place it in the... Now, this is interesting. I have never seen this done in District 52. It says must. So we might want to think about starting this as a process. Judges should probably have an envelope that they put their ballot in and hold the envelope up. So the envelopes go outside and are removed and counted outside. It says must tear off the bottom portion, place it in the provided envelope, and hold up the envelope for the ballot counters to collect. So you decide. I've never seen it done. It's not a requirement, but if it makes you feel more secure, that's fine, because the must part of this is tear off the bottom portion of the ballot. The judges don't, or the ballot counters don't see the top portion. The top portion of the ballot is not discarded inside the contest. You should take it with you as a judge. You should, as Linnea says, eat it. But the top portion of the ballot should not stay in the room or be discarded in the trash can inside the contest area. It should be taken out of the area. Okay? The chief judge collects the tie-breaking judge's ballot, and that tie-breaking judge is also not part of the briefing. Okay? All right. Oh, and that's interesting. The chief judge personally collects the tie-breaking judge's ballot, which must contain all the contestants ranked in order. If there are 6 contestants, it's 1 through 6. Okay? That's because the tie-breaking judge is counting. Their points are added to the 2 contestants who tied, and the one with the most points wins. So that's how that works. Okay. Let's see. Chief judge also picks up the timing record sheet, because before the ballots are counted, They need to know if anybody went overtime or undertime and is therefore disqualified. On the results form, there is a place that says, we had a disqualification. You do not have to write down the name of the person who was disqualified. The box is just a check mark. Check it off. There was a disqualification, announced first, second, and third, or first and second, depending on how many you have. Okay. The counters tally sheet I'm not going to cover in this briefing. We will talk about that probably on a, not a webinar where people are participating, but I'll record how it's done and it'll be up on YouTube for you to watch. It's pretty basic and it doesn't really bring up a lot of questions, but I do want you to have an opportunity to see that. Okay, what else we got here? Oh yes, a speaker can participate in both humorous and international speech contests. Yes, they can. Okay. In the event of a tie, the chief judge will consult the tie-breaking judge's ballot. So it's the chief judge that reads that. Okay. Once the results have been tabulated, the chief judge records the ranking on that notification of contest winner form and on the results form. Now the results form goes to the Toastmaster. The notification of contest winner form goes to the next level up. So if you are having a club contest, your vice president of education should provide that form to the area director in your area. If you don't know who that is, just ask and you will find out. But a copy of that form, you can always take a picture of it with your phone or scan it on a scanner and email it to the area director. They need that copy for the next level contest so that they know who's eligible to go forward, who the winners are. They need first, second, and third because, like I said, if somebody can't compete at the next level, the next person down does. Okay. All ballots and tally sheet will be kept by the chief judge until after the winners have been announced. I personally hang on to those tally sheets and ballots for at least a week, sometimes until the next contest has been completed, because I know that some things come up. I know that, and I'd rather have them than not. So you can digitize them, but hang on to them. Don't throw them away. You'll be sorry if you did that. Okay. After the winners have been announced, the chief judge will destroy all ballots, time record, and tally sheet. Now, there is no time frame on this. Like I said, I keep those until the period when somebody could come forward and say, wait a minute, something went wrong here. Something went terribly wrong and that person's disqualified. I would need to know that information. Okay. The contest chair, your Toastmaster for your contest, announces the winners of the contest. It is not the area director or a district officer or anybody else unless your contest chair decides that's not something they want to do. It's strictly up to them. The contest chair is the person in charge of the entire contest. They get to decide everything. And one of the things they get to decide is whether or not they're going to announce the winners. Some people, that makes them very, very nervous, and they hand that off to somebody else. That's perfectly fine, but the contest chair gets to decide that. Okay. All right. So this talks about the announcement. Okay, timing of the speeches. 2 timers are appointed by the chief judge. So whoever your chief judge is for your contest, they pick the timers and the ballot counters. A signaling device must be in full view of each contestant. If you're using cards, I suggest you do this. You tell your timers to leave the card on the table like this in front of them. And when the timing is green, you have them put their card here at their chest. Hold it at their chest, okay? And having the yellow card behind it, they just move this card out of the way, set it down, and now the yellow card shows. And then the same with the red. The timer leaves the red card, pretend this is red, up at their chest until the contestant is finished talking. This is why you have 2 timers, because the other timer is writing down the time that they actually stopped talking, not any other time. So you need somebody doing the cards and somebody clicking the stopwatch for the time. Okay, very important. That way, the card, let's say like this, let's say this is the green card, you're not having your timer do this, holding it over their head where the entire audience can see it. It's down here at their chest. Okay, just a recommendation, not a rule. Okay, both international and humorous are both 5 to 7 minutes, so you have the same timing on both. That makes it kind of simple. Okay, this is important. Timing begins at the first definite verbal or non-verbal communication. That means if they pick up a hat off a chair and move it slightly because it's in the wrong position, they have started their speech. Make sure the sergeant-at-arms knows exactly where their props are supposed to be. You will have a contestant who maybe goes over by 2 seconds because they did that, and they will be angry as a wet cat trying to make that right. So keep that in mind. Okay, the speaker should begin a short time after arriving in the speaking area and is not permitted to delay the contest unnecessarily. We've had contestants who stood there a fairly long period of time, but what they were doing was this. That starts their speech, okay? It's a deliberate motion. That is a motion. And so make sure you tell your speakers that. Okay, so these are the timing. Yes, there's no signal for overtime. That's a new rule. See, another black diamond. They didn't have that before, but they do have that in there now. Okay. Protests, I told you, judges and speakers. Use of props. They must notify the contest chair about the props before they use them. Okay. Now, here are the international speech contest rules. This is a separate section where they apply to only the international speech. So it talks about how it proceeds. And most of this is at the district level. This is all this stuff we have to do for videotaping, just so you know. You can look at that yourself. We're not doing evaluations. Here's humorous. The subject of the humorous speech must be selected by the contestant, and the speaker must avoid potentially objectionable language, anecdotes, and material. So you might want to warn any humorous speaker who's going to do an all blue or off-color speech that they will probably be disqualified because the judges will mark them down. Okay. The speech must be thematic in nature with an opening body and close, not a monologue or a series of one-liners. In other words, they cannot tell a series of jokes. That is not a humorous speech. It has to be a speech. Okay? All right. No, we're not doing those. Okay, at the back of the book, it talks about the contest chair's checklist. You'll want to look at that because that tells you what you have to do to prepare for each of the contests. Pick your contest chair or the Toastmaster at your club to, do the contest and then have them go through this checklist. It's very, very detailed and nice and handy for everyone. Like I said, I'll be giving you some briefing notes and some scripts for your contest. Contestants briefing. This is important. Make sure you know how to pronounce their name. Do it phonetically on your sheet. Make sure the contest chair knows how to pronounce everybody's name. Review the contest rules with the speakers. All this can be done before you even get to the contest. Do it by phone. Every speaker could be briefed separately if you have to. You can do it together or separate. It doesn't matter. This is not something that has to be done on the day of the contest at this place, because all of this, 1, 2, and 3, can be done before. Actually, 1, 2, this is important. Number 5, all contestants must know what the speaking area is, because if they go out of the speaking area, there's a place on the ballot that can be marked down. That's because the speaking area is part of speaking, okay? And so this is the briefing. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 can be done way before the contest, a week before, as soon as you know who the contestants are. And these last 2 are done at the contest. So that saves you a lot of time. Okay? During the contest, I have a script for you, so I'm not going to go over that here. I'll be sending that to everybody. And after the contest, you're going to have the one of the district officers come up and talk to the audience. There's the chief judge's checklist. This one's longer because the chief judge does a lot more things. You'll want your chief judge to read through this as well. Okay. Let's see. Very important. During that 1 minute of silence after every contestant, it needs to be quiet in the room. Make sure your contest chair insists on silence. They need to be a pretty demonstrative Toastmaster. Make sure they know that if a bunch of people start talking, just to repeat, we're in 1 minute of silence, or we're in unlimited silence. Please, everybody, stop talking. Let's see here. Okay, their Sergeant at Arms in the contest takes care of the props and visual aids. The contest chair can do it, but I don't recommend that. Just do what you can with what you've got in most cases. Make sure that if you're using a timing light, it's working properly. And I prefer cards because they can be seen. Make sure your timers are at the front row. And make sure during your briefing that your timer knows exactly what they're doing. Okay. I am going to open it up. Let's see. Okay, who briefs the contestants and judges? The contestants are briefed by the contest chair or the Toastmaster at the club level if you use a Toastmaster. Contest chair is picked by usually the person like the VPE or the person in the area director. Somebody picks the contest chair at area level and somebody picks them at division. The judges are briefed by the chief judge, so they are separated. The chief judge collects the judge's eligibility and ethical paperwork, and the contest chair picks up the eligibility and originality paperwork from the contestants. Okay, who can be a chief judge? Well, I believe the person that has judged contests before can be a chief judge. In the rule book, it doesn't specifically say, but that person has to be qualified to be a judge, so they have to have done 6 speeches first. So that tells that. Okay. I'm going to record, this thing is recording, so it will be available to people who couldn't be on Zoom today, probably later tonight if it's not too late. Let's see what else. I think that's it. Okay, somebody asked, where is this contest master script? Every year, the program quality director of a district goes through the script, fine-tunes it, makes sure it fits with the rule book, and puts it out there. I will be sending it to all of the division directors and all of the area directors and putting it on District 52 for you to download on the contest page. Okay? All right, let's see what else is asked. Okay, do we have any other questions before I end or before we go to anything else? Are we good? Did you get enough? Did I burn your brains? I will answer, and Melissa will answer any questions you have. If she doesn't know the answer or I don't know the answer, we will figure out what the real answer is by calling TI. Be advised, we want you to have the smoothest running, most consistent contest in the world. We want every contest as it goes forward to look the same, behave the same, act the same, And so your contestants feel very comfortable walking into the next level contest without feeling nervous or like, oh my God, what is this contest doing and why am I doing it? So if there's no more questions, I am going to go ahead and end this. I think I answered everything. Let's see. Okay. Let me show you this very quickly before we exit. Let me show you. On this, on District 50, on Toastmasters International, okay, if you want to find anything for the contest, the kit, just type in International Contest. I probably spelled that wrong because I can't see it. And it will give you a link to the kit, the contest kit. So here's the International Speech Contest Kit. It has absolutely everything in it you need to run a contest, and all of the certificates. And let's see, where is it? Oh, it's downloading. And it has the ballots. It has the rule book in it. Has everything. Zipped file, so you can extract it. You just double click on it. Let me open this in just a moment. Almost done. Okay. When the download finishes, it's going to be zipped. So if you double click on it, it's going to say extract at the top. You extract the files. I usually just leave them where they came from. Let's see. Extract all. And I just extract like this. Now watch what happens. Another window opens with all of those files in it right here. These are not compressed anymore. All of these are here. So here's that results form that I told you goes 3, 2, 1. I think I'm waiting for something. Okay. So this is what that results form looks like. The time disqualification, somebody was disqualified for time. You check yes or no. See how it says third place winner, second place winner, first place winner. So that's that form that I was talking about. There's the entire kit is here, everything you need. The tie-breaking ballot, the notification of contest winner, tally sheets, time record sheet, everything for you. Okay, so you'll want to download one for the humor contest and one for international. Okay, all righty. It is 9:22. We went over 22 minutes from what I projected, but we got a lot of stuff in. And if you have any questions, again, please ask. Melissa's address is chiefjudge@district52.org. My email is pqd@district52.org. Thank you for attending. All right, good night.